Who back when?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of Who Back When, a Doctor Who podcast. I am Ponkin, and joining me tonight is none other than the amazing, the talented, the recently returned from holiday, JD.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what presumably everyone else has been talking about for the past week, and that is Capaldi. We have a new Doctor. We've now actually seen him in action. At the time of recording this, we have now had 2 episodes of Capaldi. We've had Deep Breath and we've had Into the Dalek. So yes, let's discuss. We're not going to get into any incredible detail, I think, in terms of the episode plots, but let's talk the new Doctor. JD, do you have any particular points that you want to raise right at the start?
I liked him better in Into the Dalek than I did in Deep Breath.
Agreed.
But that is pretty much how it goes for every single Regeneration episode, where I always like them better in the second episode, so that's nothing new. It is an amazing change of pace.
Oh, most definitely. Absolutely. I mean, he's completely different compared to Matt Smith and Tennant and even Eccleston. Holy crap, he's very different. But I do want to say something. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I much preferred him in Into the Dalek, which was a fantastic episode, by the way. Much more than I did in Deep Breath. But I think the way that he was introduced in Deep Breath, I think all of Deep Breath was essentially just designed to introduce Capaldi. The whole thing, even though it had this little plot and it didn't necessarily make sense all over the place and whatever, and it was still fun and it was still very cool, it was there to set up, here are some arcs that we're going to enjoy for the rest of this series, and here is, most importantly, here is the new Doctor. So it was really just, I think, an introduction episode, and he was very different to, presumably, the way he's going to portray the character later on as well. I mean, for most of the episode, he was completely confused about who he was himself.
Yeah, you know, it's the first thing he says is shush to Strax, and, you know, then lists the 7 dwarfs.
Yeah, grumpy,
sneezy. Calls Jenny and Vastra the green one and the not green one, and calls
Strax Clara.
Calls Strax Clara and calls Clara Thingy, the
yeah, it's like, and you're both of sort of similar heights.
Have you ever thought of wearing name tags?
Oh, he's fantastic.
And then, you know, the Doctor calls Clara Handles, which would have been a fun episode.
Yeah. Still, I think the best one of his sort of confusion scenes in his first episode, in Deep Breath, that was when he was talking about the bedroom. It's like, what, you have a whole room just for not being awake in?
What makes that particular episode quite good is that he's got a good point.
Yeah, he does. I know. You watch that scene and you go, wait, hang on. That's so true. Why don't we just have like a sleeping cupboard? Or like a sleeping pod?
Yeah, so you've got a whole room for not being awake in.
And don't look at that mirror. It's furious. Okay, we could actually just end up quoting the entire episode. It was very, very good. Would you say that there's certainly a little bit of Hartnell in him, but I don't know the other classic Doctors well enough to say if there's any bit of another classic Doctor in him as well. What would you say? What about Sly?
No, he's not. I wouldn't say he was Sylvester. If I had to pick 3, because I can think of 3.
Go for it. Can I guess?
Please, yes, go ahead.
Okay, Hartnell, right? Yeah. Troughton and Colin.
No.
Shit. Okay. I say this not having seen a single Colin Baker or a single Troughton episode in my life, by the way.
2 of the 3.
Okay.
Hartnell, definitely.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
He's got that sort of, that level of grumpiness which holds back, you know, a towering intellect from
and
Hartnell.
Also that feeling of superiority that comes from age.
Yes, you have the anger of Colin, that's true, but in a way that doesn't make you irritated by him.
Okay.
Like you do with every bit of Colin's presence in his first episode. And I'll come back to Colin in a second. And Baker, especially in Into the Dalek. The Into the Dalek line of, she's not my assistant, what are you? I'm his carer. Ah, yes, that's it. She cares so I don't have to. Seems to be very sort of Tom sort of esque.
Oh, right, okay.
But ultimately, he's Hartnell. You know, he's Dr. One all over again.
But you would argue better, actually. He's cleverer than Hartnell.
Well,
but is that, maybe that's just down to writing. Maybe writing now and production, or TV productions now are just so much better than they were in 63 to later, whenever.
Right. I challenge you to watch Into the Dalek and imagine Hartnell doing Capaldi's scenes. I can imagine Ian doing Capaldi's scenes. I can't imagine Hartnell doing them. There were so many throwbacks to early episodes, but the big one was Into the Dalek. And Into the Dalek directly, specifically references the Daleks. Specifically. And, he goes,
he says, first he was just running and then he came there and then he met them and so on and so forth. It is exactly that.
But William Hartnell and Peter Capaldi have one big difference.
Okay.
Capaldi is a much more youthful 56, I think.
Yeah. Year-old than Hartnell was.
Than Hartnell was.
Yeah.
Hartnell was quite old for his age. Capaldi is quite young for his age.
Sure.
And that shows in the sort of scenes that he's given.
Was Hartnell...
Hartnell was a much older man.
Yeah, but do you know, was Hartnell meant, as in, was he told to play a more elderly character? I mean, he wore a wig and makeup to make him look older.
He did, but he was not a well man. No,
that's true. But was the character meant to be more grandfatherly? I would not call Capaldi grandfatherly at all. If anything, he is perhaps fatherly. Like, he's more of this dominant, grumpy paterfamilias, as opposed to Hartnell, who's the kind of forgetful granddad who sits in a corner and waits for the middle generation to finish dinner.
Yeah, but you've got the point where they are the same age. Yeah. And irrespective of anything, he is a more youthful man than William Hartnell was at his age.
Absolutely.
And, thank God for, modern medical technology. People do live longer now than they did 50 years ago.
No, that's very true. Very true.
So... Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to seem insensitive to Hartnell's condition.
We'll move on to Colin.
Okay.
As will become clear as we finish the Eighth Doctor Adventures and we move on to doing the rest of the audiobooks, Colin is my second favourite audio Doctor.
Wow. After McGann. Yeah.
He is amazingly good. And this is where the problem occurs, because it's not Colin. Colin is generally considered to be, if not one of the worst Doctors on screen. Yeah.
But that's when you look at also not his fault. That's also him being a product of his time in a way.
Yes, but it was a very specific thing. You have a Doctor in Deep Breath who is, in general, nasty, arrogant. Yeah. He's not Matt Smith. He's not David Tennant. He's not even the arrogance that Eccleston has. He is generally nasty. He says to Clara, well, I would say that person would be an egomaniac, needy game player sort of person. Yeah. He is actually just nasty to her.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he is also in Deep Breath, he's still also finding himself. You could make that argument, and I guess we'll see what happens with their relationship going forward.
But let's compare Deep Breath and Colin's one, which was Twin Dilemma.
Okay, I've not seen the Colin one.
Okay, he tries to strangle his companion, Perry.
Okay.
And spends the entire episode being obnoxious. Literally, totally obnoxious. And he came after Peter Davison, who was generally a very nice, very kind,
jolliest fellow. Yeah.
Gentle Doctor.
Yeah.
And they made a huge mistake. And this is why I think that having only Capaldi in for 15 seconds at the end of the last episode was the right thing to do. Because Colin had one entire episode, which was his regeneration episode, and then there was a year between that and his second episode.
Oh, Jesus. So the entire audience just had a year to simmer and hate this character and not want him to return.
Absolutely.
Oh, what a shame.
And that's what happened. But if you look at the writing credits for the first half of this season, there's a couple of Moffat ones, then there's a few done by other writers. But all of the first 6 have and Stephen Moffat on.
Okay.
So Into the Dalek, the writer was told to, because when it was written, they didn't know really, what the Doctor was going to be like. Mm-hmm. So he was told to think of a rampaging Billy Connolly when he was doing the writing. And then Stephen Moffat came in and did a pass of, what the Doctor was actually going to be like in this episode. Because the first half of the season, as you say, is him finding himself. But Moffat has crafted it so that we don't get to the Colin situation of the writers writing him permanently as this angry, violent person.
Yeah. You can already tell at the end of Deep Breath when she comes off the phone, actually when she's still on the phone with Matt Smith, and he's just leaning against the TARDIS, and Capaldi is just leaning against the TARDIS. You can already tell that, no, it's fine. He's found himself now. There's still some looking, obviously. I mean, in Into the Dalek, he asks, am I a good man, and so on. And there's probably going to be a little bit more soul-searching going forward, but at the end of Deep Breath, he is no longer that confused gentleman.
No, and and I think that will continue, because in Deep Breath, he is asking Clara, is he a good man? And at the end,
Into the Dalek,
Into the Dalek. You've got a point where she says, well, she doesn't know. Yeah. But at the end, she says, you try. Yeah. And that's probably,
that's more than most people do. Yeah.
But we have Colin Baker, and we'll come back to him again, which has, I think, and I could be wrong on this one, generally considered to be the single most violent Doctor Who episode.
Okay.
Which is Attack of the Cybermen. And it is, only 3 other Doctor Who stories have ever been given an M rating in Australia. And, that along with Attack of the Cybermen, it's, in general, the Doctor just goes around at the end and shoots Cybermen dead. You've got bodies littered everywhere. It is absolutely atrocious.
Jesus.
And that's what you have there.
Okay, well, Capaldi certainly doesn't seem to strike that chord at all.
No, and that is what Moffat is trying to do, is not... If the writers had only been told he's going to be this angry man, you could have ended up with this...
With a violent man. Yeah, but angry and violent are not necessarily the same thing. They're not mutually inclusive.
And this is why I think Stephen Moffat is doing, a good job of steering people and, writing this sort of Doctor as finding out who he is.
I see, yeah.
So we also have an arc.
Yeah, we do. That has something to do with paradise.
Yes, we have Missy.
Yeah, who's a very creepy woman who apparently welcomes people who have just died into paradise, which is this garden with a nice tea room adjacent, as we see when one of the soldiers dies Into the Dalek. What do you think about that? Do you have any theories? And also, do you think that is the exact, as in, is that the same arc as pertains to whoever it was that put the newspaper article in Deep Breath? Not newspaper article, sorry, the advert for...
Yes, the woman in the shop.
Exactly.
I think it probably is the woman in the shop, because there are a number of people who could be the woman in the shop. You've got anyone from Sally Sparrow in Blink to an old splinter of Clara to River.
Oh, very true, yeah.
But none of those would
Did you hear this rumour as well, by the way? I don't know how true this is, but I heard a rumour that possibly River might return in a different form.
That good. Well, I don't put any stock in rumours until I occur.
Okay, fair enough.
Otherwise, there are so many of them.
Okay, that's true.
So yes, we have Missy. There are so many rumours about what she is, from, she's River. Everyone could be River. The Rani, who is an evil Time Lord, to someone new, which is possible, or a regenerated version of the Master. You've got, every single...
I know. Obviously,
one.
No one can possibly know. Would you say that there's any chance whatsoever? I would absolutely say no, there's no chance that there's a religious tint to this. But do you think maybe there's any chance of, not religious, but spiritual? I mean, we have had the Sisterhood of Khan, for example. We've had the Sisterhood of Khan, dude.
No,
there is a certain level of spiritualism there.
I don't think this is spiritual at all.
All right, okay.
Because...
I think it's too early to tell, to be honest. I don't want to say yes or no.
I think, the reason why she said it's paradise and heaven, which is because that's where he wanted to go.
Yeah, but she also says that to the soldier in Into the Dalek.
Does she say it's heaven, or
no?
Does
she says paradise. She says, "Welcome to paradise. Yes. Would you like some tea?" And I think that's exactly what she says to Half-Face Man. She says, well, do you not recognize it? This is paradise. Welcome to heaven. So she says both.
Yes, I think paradise is the word she says for both times, but she only says heaven and promised land to the robot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's spiritual. It doesn't...
Okay. Okay. Most likely it's not going to be. It's going to be some incredibly evil plot. But I just don't want to rule anything out just yet. That's all.
So, Into the Dalek obviously had some of our reoccurring characters. It had Jenny, Strax, and Madame Vastra.
Do you mean Deep Breath?
I do. What did I say?
Into the Dalek.
I'll come on to Into the Dalek in a minute. Yeah. Deep Breath has some of our reoccurring characters, Jenny, Strax, and Vastra. Mm-hmm. What did you think of them in this episode?
Has the relationship between Vastra and Jenny evolved in some degree? I mean, to some degree. I remember them being a couple, but I don't think they were married before. Is that?
No, I thought they were married.
They were married. Okay, all right.
Yeah. And there has been a slight outcry because the BBC cut the lizard lesbian kiss from some international broadcasts.
What?
Yep.
That's just dumb. Why would you cut that? Who would you be offending? Oh, okay.
It's for cultural sensitivity. It's actually from Asian broadcasts.
Oh, really? For a moment there, I thought maybe this had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with, like, let's say, homophobia or anything like that. I thought maybe this had to do with those crazy people. Sorry, by the way, if any of our listeners pertain to this faction of society. But you know those people who think that the Earth is 2,000 years old and 2,000 years ago, like 1,900 years ago, humans were, like, friends with dinosaurs and whatever?
No.
Like the dino creationists? Yeah, okay. I'm joking. That's crazy that was cut out, though. I think one other thing has been added to their relationship, though. I think Jenny's a little bit more sort of feisty and independent now. I mean, she was she was criticizing, they're very much in love, and there's no reason for her to criticize their relationship, so to speak, but she was still standing up for herself and saying, yeah, it is very weird how we have to pretend to be sort of master and butler or whatnot, but still, we even play those parts even when no one's looking, you know.
And that's obviously some sort of in-joke between the two of them, that she still does it when, you know, they're at home.
Yeah.
And, you know, yes, I thought, you know, Catherine Stewart and Niamh McIntosh, who played Jenny and Vastra, did very well.
I think they're fantastic, yeah.
I do.
Strax was Strax, you know, he always does a good job. I thought he was great. I love the character, by the way.
You know, Dan Starkey, obviously actually from, you know, all of his minisodes that he's done, etc., he loves Doctor Who. You know,
yeah, obviously.
You know, he enjoys what he does. But yeah, you know, Vastra, Jenny, and Strax did good in the episode.
How old is Vastra meant to be, by the way?
I don't know.
Well, presumably very old. There's a line in the very beginning where Jenny goes, "Have you ever seen one of those?" Points at the T-Rex. And Vastra goes, "Not since I was a little girl."
Yeah, because the Silurians were in deep sleep. They were in hibernation chambers, which we'll get to in the second episode of the Pertwee era.
Oh, I don't know these things! JD, it's give me a couple of months.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
It's good. I'm refusing to get on any particular lesbian lizard soapbox because it's a science fiction serial.
Yeah.
But I will point out that there were 6 complaints about the kiss sent into Ofcom. And it's been completely got rid of, by the way. They've turned around and said it's not going to face any investigation. Yeah.
Wait, sorry, hang on. What's Ofcom?
It is the broadcast watchdog in the UK. So they can censor programs for doing things wrong.
And 6 people thought it necessary to complain. That is ridiculous. It's 2014, by the way, guys, in case you hadn't noticed. Anyway.
But I'm going to read you a couple of these complaints. Because
great. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I want to hear some ponking amusement on these.
Okay. Hit me. Number 1.
Found those characters that liked to display their sexual preference to be inappropriate for a children's programme, but the BBC seem to want to become a porn channel and are slowly edging into it.
Okay, alright. Well, I would like to say to this person, edging is a fantastic thing that you need to get more acquainted with. And slow is the key word here, okay? Really. There's no better way to edge into anything than slowly. Also, seriously, take it easy, man. All right, number 2, hit me.
Okay, number 2 out of the 3.
Okay.
I think they wish to come out of the closet. Well, I have no objection to that if they become a private adult channel, but not on our license fee. They, here, referring to the BBC, not Vastra and Jenny.
It seems to me like this person is kind of calling out for them to do exactly this. I mean, it's phrased essentially like this sort of subverted imperative. It's like, BBC, listen, I don't mind you doing it, but, just slot it in there where I can put it on a different channel so I can watch it on the little TV in front of the bathtub. That kind of situation. Anyway, yeah, okay, hit me. What's the last
final one? I thought it was gratuitous and not particularly welcome in a family show aimed at kids. It just seems that executive producer Stephen Moffat is on some weird lizard lesbian perv trip.
Okay. A, if it's a family show, is it geared to kids? Like, is it aimed at kids? I feel like a family show is aimed at the whole family, not at kids. This is just ridiculous. Either it's a kids show or it's a family show, make up your mind. And secondly, who's not on a lizard lesbian kick, whatever it was that he said? That sounds fantastic.
And I will point out, actually, the kiss was actually to share oxygen, not depicted as a kiss, even though it was a kiss.
Yeah.
So there was even logical reason for it.
No,
but
you're
anyway,
right. You're right.
Was I just wanted some ponking amusement on those.
There you go. You're welcome.
Let's finish off with about Deep Breath. With 2 things about the TARDIS.
Okay.
Number 1, he's added some bookcases.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
I liked the bookcases. That's where he was sat. He was sat in a chair next to the bookcases he's added.
Oh.
And number 2,
okay,
when he takes Clara home,
yeah,
all he does is flicks a switch to activate the TARDIS. He's obviously pressed some other switches in advance, but he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't run around like a madman, flicking and pressing and probing. He presses one switch elegantly, taking her home.
Yeah,
and the lights playing off his face, I think, is really good.
I agree. I absolutely agree. By the way, he does the same thing, the same flicking of the switch in Into the Dalek. It's always just vroom, one switch. And by the way, in Into the Dalek, the scene that precedes, the scene that culminates in him flicking that switch is amazing, where he just wants whatever her name is. Voyage? Journey. He wants Journey to just say please. It's such a gorgeous scene. Anyway, yes, I agree.
We'll come on to Into the Dalek in a minute. Yeah.
I hadn't noticed the bookshelves. I had not noticed the bookshelves. And I want to say, I really like the TARDIS interior. I love the TARDIS interior, and I say that not even having noticed that there were bookshelves in there. However, not so sure about the TARDIS exterior, dude. At least in Deep Breath, and I'm not sure if there's a difference between what it looks like in Deep Breath and in Into the Dalek, if maybe they made some changes there, but in Deep Breath, at least when it's on the beach, and when it's on the wagon as well, when Strax is commanding it to be pulled into Vastra's estate, it seems like, okay, this has nothing to do with the ambulance logo on the door. I love that they've reattached that ambulance logo. That is fantastic. But the shade of blue makes it feel like it's kind of plasticky to me. And I don't like what they've done with the windows. It's every window, every square set of windows, rather. It's 6 different divisions. It's a division of 6 different pieces of glass, and 3 of them are always slightly darker. And in this case, I think they're not like grayed out. They're like light blue or something, and it looks plasticky to me, is what I'm trying to say. So I love the TARDIS interior. I'm not so sure about the TARDIS exterior.
I didn't notice that one little bit.
Okay, have a look. I mean, for one, you have the ambulance logo on the door, and I don't know who was the last Doctor to have the ambulance logo. Was that McCann?
Matt Smith. Matt Smith.
What? Matt Smith didn't have that, surely?
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yes.
Oh, shitballs.
Matt Smith had the ambulance logo when the TARDIS regenerated after the regeneration from Tennant.
Ah. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for my comment just now. Okay.
And I think that the TARDIS exterior might be the same,
including the windows. Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure, but I will go back and watch, because that's quite interesting. As far as I'm aware, let me you know what? Let me send you a link to an image right now. Okay. Okay. Live commenting, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the windows. Okay. That's fine. I will go and look at windows. And look at the free public phone sign. Free for public use of, well, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and let me send you an image. Yeah. From the 50th anniversary. Okay. Definitely a different shade of blue, dude. It's actually the same prop.
Really? That looks completely different to me.
Because
The windows, you're absolutely right about the windows. The windows are the same, and I had not noticed that. We can't actually see the door here, but no, that looks very different to me. As in, the shade of blue looks very different to me.
Okay. In fact, well, as you know, the windows did change very slightly during Matt Smith's run.
Okay.
But, this is Matt Smith outside his TARDIS, where I think you'll see the blue a bit more.
Okay.
Because it depends, because it's done for HD, it depends incredibly on the lighting.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, well, in that case, fine. I'm... Fine. I apologize, but I will still say, for some reason in Deep Breath, the TARDIS looked really plasticky to me. And maybe you're right, maybe it's all down to lighting, but it seemed as though it was a different shade of blue, a different kind of paint maybe, or something. Like it didn't look like wood anymore. It looked like it was a plastic TARDIS. And I know it's not a plastic TARDIS, which is why I was upset.
I didn't feel that, but, I think it is down very, very much to lighting effects in general.
And I am by no means an expert in those things, so fine. Okay, alright, moving on. Let's forget about my embarrassing rant about something that's probably not even true. I've got a question for you.
Go on.
Actually, it's a two-parter. What do you think about the opening title sequence and new theme song? And please don't tell me it's the same theme song as Matt Smith used.
Oh, I'm definitely not going to say that. First of all, the theme, the title sequence was actually Stephen Moffat seeing a fan-made title sequence.
Yeah. In fact, I think I sent you a link to this fan's video like a year ago or something.
Yeah, I quite liked it.
Yeah. It was awesome.
But
I think... Go for it, sorry.
I quite like it. I think that it could have been slightly better.
Yeah.
This is, and I have to prefix this with, in my humble opinion, because, I'm not a graphics expert. I feel that the very start of it feels a bit more plasticky.
You mean with the gears?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what the guy did in his original, just here's a fan-made thing to show off my motion graphic skills, what he did with the gears in his first original version was actually better than what he then consulted for the BBC to create for the show here. However, the second half, what follows the gears in the new title sequence, is much, much better than, what we saw a year ago.
Oh, I think, I think the second half is very good, and you've got the eyebrows of Capaldi. It has had a lot of problems, because people have said, well, why does a clock with, Roman numerals see time travel, and he's alien and that shouldn't mean anything? Frankly, don't care.
Yeah, who cares? It's time, guys. It's time.
It's time. And overall...
He's pretty old-fashioned as well.
Overall, I like it more than most of the title sequences I have seen.
Agreed. It's not better than first episode Eccleston title sequence.
No, it's not better than Rose. Mainly, that is still going to be probably my favourite title sequence of all time.
Yeah. Have you seen the thing yet, by the way?
No, I've still not seen the thing you keep telling me that I should see. I will pay attention to it when I do Boomtown.
Okay. Do it. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, it's an issue of video and audio being out of sync in the opening title sequence, the Eccleston anyway, opening title sequence, most of his serial, comparing it to the opening title sequence of Rose, where everything is perfectly in sync. Anyway, go on. What do you think of the theme tune, the new Capaldi theme tune? It's a little bit squeaky. I liked it much better in Into the Dalek than I did when I first heard it for Deep Breath. So it is growing on me, I have to say that.
I have a similar thing to the title sequences.
Okay.
In that, I'm sorry, I've never liked any of the Matt Smith title sequences.
Which ones, like the smoky ones with the lightning or whatever?
The smoky one and the going through space one. I thought the going through space one was better than the smoky one.
Okay.
But I think that this version of the theme is better than Matt Smith's.
Agreed.
And in general, I thought Murray Gold's music in Deep Breath and Into the Dalek were better than the last few Matt Smiths, because there's only so many times you can hear I Am the Doctor, Madman with a Box.
Oh, I disagree. I can listen to I Am the Doctor on an endless loop.
And this is Gallifrey. I think that there's only so many times that you can hear them.
Sure.
And he's done something new again. So, yeah, I thought the Capaldi music is in general better because Matt Smith's was getting a bit stale, and Matt Smith's title sequence I never really enjoyed.
Yeah,
This is more synthy, and
it's a little bit too squeaky, I think, maybe for my liking, but it's growing on me clearly.
But you've got, this is probably more true to what Delia Derbyshire would have done back in the old days with her synth machine in the Radiophonics workshop in 1963. So
nice name dropping there, by the way. Well done.
I think that I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So overall, we're not discussing the plot in detail.
Oh, I don't know if I want to give this ratings. Is that what you were going to ask me?
No. I wasn't going to say rating. I was going to say, would you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
You are joking, obviously. Right? You are obviously joking, because I would say, holy crap, such a massive thumbs up that if you don't see it, then, no, I don't want to say anything about Deep Breath and Doctor Who and Capaldi in the same sentence as where I would explain to the person who doesn't want to watch that where he can put that freaking thumb up. No, you absolutely have to see Deep Breath for the introduction of Capaldi, for the magnificent contrast between his performance or his Doctor and the confusion and Matt Smith's very sort of youngish, childish performance, even when he's portraying a very old man in the episode prior, knowing full well what he's doing. So there's no confusion there. Here there is confusion. There's childishness there. Here there's a very mature man. No, you have to watch this. Absolutely.
And we'll come on to Clara.
Okay. Oh, all right. She's changed a little bit, hasn't she?
Thank God. Right. If I look through the new Who companions, I like Rose.
Okay.
Billie Piper did a great job, and she did a job where no one expected her to succeed, and she did it with flying colours.
Yeah. You kind of like Mickey Ricky as well for some reason. I don't know why.
And of course we all like Captain Jack.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's your Eccleston. Moving on to your Tennant, poor Freema playing Martha.
Yeah.
She came after Rose. She was saddled with being the person who the Doctor didn't love because she wasn't Rose.
Yeah, exactly. And also not just the Doctor, but the audience, because everyone was missing Rose.
And from anyone who's watched anything else that Freema has been in, knows she is a really good actress.
What else has she been
in? She was in Law and Order UK for a significant part of its run.
Okay.
I'd start with that. And if I'd point
I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah. I'd also point out Human Nature and The Family of Blood from the sort of middle of her year in Doctor Who, and how much when she's not being saddled with bad writing, she's amazing. Catherine Tate, who you loathe and I adore with a passion. And really do. Then you've got Amy Pond.
Yeah.
And
who
Rory.
was a fan favourite.
And Amy is totally my second favourite of the new Who companions.
Oh, really? Wait, who is your number one? Is that Rose?
Donna Noble.
Holy Jesus. Are you serious? Are you okay? Do you have a temperature?
Yeah, I loved Donna Noble. She contains my favourite episode of New Who.
Yes, I know. She didn't write the episode, Okay, anyway.
No, but her acting... Oh, well, I cannot wait until we get to Turn Left. And what you've got there is you have 4 female companions on a row who are all incredibly different to each other with incredibly strong personality traits.
Yeah.
If you say fiery, you would go for Amy. If you went, strong-willed, you tend to go for Donna. But they've all got very different character traits.
Sure.
And then you get to Clara, and through her year as the impossible girl,
which is not... Sorry to cut you off there, but there are all these things that the companions do where you go, that's because that actor, that person, that human being lent part of their persona to the character, and that's how they're portraying it. The Impossible Girl scenario, that's a fantastic story, but that has nothing to do with Clara. That's all down to writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so she was saddled with being bland.
Yeah, unfortunately, because she is actually quite likable.
Oh, and then she comes into Deep Breath, and she has this amazing scene with Madame Vastra.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. I was going to say.
And she just goes completely crazy. And Vastra repeats what the audience is thinking, which is, I wondered what you'd be like when you got annoyed. Which is yes.
Yeah, exactly. Show some spirit, some emotion.
She does take a very minor step back in Into the Dalek, but it's only a very minor one. And I think, it's the way she's going. But I think...
I was going to ask you, do you think that she's sort of being written out of it a little bit? I mean, they are giving her... we're basing this really just on part of one single episode, but it does seem as though they're quite clearly establishing a life for her outside of the TARDIS. It's going on dates, for God's sake.
Yeah, but she's always done that. She's always been a temporary companion, just dropping in and out of the Doctor's life, not being a full-time one. She's like Rose and Rory were in their last season. Sorry, Rose and Rory? Amy and Rory.
Yeah.
We talked about Deep Breath, and we've talked about the Hartnell. Shall we get on to the English teacher and the maths teacher in Into the Dalek, the Ian and Barbara syndrome?
Yes. Please tell me that's deliberate. That must be deliberate, obviously.
Moffat is just, he did so
they're at Coal Hill School.
They're at Coal Hill School. One is an arts teacher, i.e. in this case English. Yeah. One is a science teacher, in this
history,
case mathematics.
But let's call it, humanities. Yeah.
One's humanities and one's science, in this case mathematics, not science.
Yeah.
And you have someone who was an ex-soldier.
Yeah.
So you can really see the Ian sort of
the veteran science teacher.
who can go and take on Roman gladiators with just a sword.
Yeah,
and
I'm assuming that's... What's his name again? I can't remember that character's name.
Danny Pink.
Pink, that's what it was. Kept thinking color of some description. Red, green. Okay, so I'm assuming that he's going to join them in the TARDIS at some point.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. They're introducing him. We now know a little bit about him. He's even had that sort of emotional introduction where he cries in front of the schoolboys.
Yeah, and he's a soldier, and by the end of Into the Dalek, the Doctor has said he doesn't like soldiers when he refuses to take Journey Blue.
Were you also a little bit worried that he might bring Journey on board the TARDIS?
No, she wasn't a fully fledged character by that point, so I didn't see him taking her on board.
Well,
actually, she could have been the Katerina of...
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, we've had plenty of those. But...
Adam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I got incredibly worried. And then when he said, if only you weren't, I wish you weren't a soldier. And then he walks in and she closes the door and everything. As in, Clara closed the door. Relief washed over me. And I felt so good. It was like the beautiful rays of sunlight that can only be produced by the absence of Donna Noble were shining upon my happy face. But I do assume that the other teacher, what's his face again? Pink. God damn it. Pink is going to join the TARDIS crew.
I hope so. I think we would get this vibe, this Ian and Barbara vibe, which is never going to be a bad thing in my books.
I agree. Well, the same Ian and Barbara vibe was emulated with the Ponds. Because there was always that sort of romantic tension between Ian and Babs. Even though it never happened on screen, there was always that. And essentially they're just like this old married couple. Whereas the Ponds, they were the young married couple.
No. I would say that this is more of an Ian and Barbara than Rory and Amy ever were. Mainly due to the fact is you can't imagine Barbara doting all over Hartnell and slobbering on him.
Okay, point taken. Touché. Fine.
All right. If you can, that's not a brain I want to be part of.
Yeah, stay out, dude. Another question for Into the Dalek. When he is actually inside the Dalek, he's doing the whole, Fantastic Voyage, what's the other one? Inner Space. Like, he's doing that whole thing. And he's standing in front of the actual Dalek. And we see all these flashes of memories. Mm-hmm. Was it just me, or was there also a tiny little flash from the episode Dalek? There was. Okay, yes. All right, good. Just someone, like one of the soldiers being shot, I think it was.
Yeah,
Explain that to me.
We know from Asylum of the Daleks that the Daleks have a sort of hive mind.
Ah, okay, all right. Yeah, that does explain it.
But this was just harkening back to so many episodes. It mentions Skaro.
Yep.
It mentions the Daleks, i.e. the second episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Or the Peter Cushing movie if you're part of that tribe.
Which I'm not.
Yeah, no, right.
I half expected when he was in front of that sort of eye view screen to show Genesis of the Daleks and Asylum of the Daleks. I really did. But we get a repeated line, and it was, I think I mentioned this in my review of Dalek, one of my favourite lines has ever been done, which was the scene between the Doctor and the Dalek, or the Metaltron at the time. And the Dalek says to Eccleston,
"You would make a good Dalek.
You would make a good Dalek." And in this one, you are a good Dalek.
Yeah.
So, this is just, it's good writing.
It's fantastically well written, this episode. So well written.
Yeah, it's great writing.
Yeah.
Into the Dalek, I think is going to be one of those episodes which people either love or hate. And I personally love it.
I absolutely loved it as well. And weirdly, I got a text message, and I only saw it today. Today is Tuesday. It aired 3 days ago. On Saturday, the second it finished, I got a text message from a buddy of mine, Nick. Hello, Nick. Saying, underwhelming.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was it. Underwhelming. So clearly the fan base, and he's a huge Whovian. He is a massive Whovian. So the fan base clearly very divided, right? Very divided. But I loved it. Yeah, I agree with you. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
And also hilarious to see the guy who was the bicycle messenger dude in Spaced playing Uncle in this one. Very weird. Very weird, but kind of fun.
Yeah, the Tyres, wasn't it?
Yes, Tyres,
in
that's what it was. Yeah. Who would constantly be at a rave, basically.
Yeah, Michael Smiley.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah, that's Michael Smiley.
Oh man, he is appropriately named.
I thought it was a good episode. It was obviously a homage to Fantastic Voyage.
Mm-hmm. And Inner Space.
And of course, the Doctor even lampshades that by saying, shrinking people down would be a fantastic idea for a movie.
Yeah. Actually, I think he says it is a fantastic idea, or it was a fantastic idea for a movie, not such a good idea for a proctologist or something like that. Disagree. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
This is... The end of it
is
very similar to an audiobook which we will review at some point, which I mentioned when we did Dalek, which is Jubilee.
Oh, yeah.
Which is about, a good Dalek. But the rest of the episode is completely different. When you looked into the memories, which we talked about, and we said there was a memory of Dalek.
Yeah.
We also see scenes from The Stolen Earth.
Okay.
When they destroyed the Valiant. We see, I think it's a scene from Journey's End, but I'm not sure, which was the big destruction of the mothership. It might have been from Parting of the Ways.
There's an Asylum clip in there as well, I think.
Is there? Right.
I think so. I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not the expert here, dude.
And I've just got a bad memory. So this one, I don't know. I loved the episode. Yeah. I think that it's done something really good with the Daleks for a change, which is there are none of the Fatleks.
The Fatleks?
The new Paradigm Daleks, the ones that look like Power Rangers. All those coloured ones.
Yeah, thank God.
Exactly. They've just got the proper Daleks. The Daleks are shown to be, again, a nigh indestructible force, which is what they need to be. So, overall, I thought that they did a really good Dalek episode, and... I can't... the only things about it I can fault is that I think more could have been done in the episode. I think it could have been... This is another one like Deep Breath, which felt right for its length, because Deep Breath was a 75-minute episode, I think.
Okay.
Or was it... It was certainly longer than normal episode.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And I think this episode would have been better as a longer episode as well. It felt, in part, quite rushed.
Oh, you think so? Yeah. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was absolutely splendid.
But don't get me wrong, it's an amazing episode. And I think it's one of the better Dalek episodes. So
sure. No, I absolutely agree. Actually, on that note, I want to say something. I was actually now a former colleague of mine, Vince, if you're listening. Hello, dude. He's not a Doctor Who fan, but he is quite knowledgeable when it comes to Doctor Who. He mentioned that the Daleks themselves, copyright-wise, still belong to the Terry Nation estates. They don't belong to the BBC. And therefore, even though there is a separate Dalek, which is the Peter Cushing Dalek, which is owned by, I can't remember which American production company it is now, but the Daleks themselves, they're not owned by the BBC, which means that every single time that Daleks appear in a BBC episode or a BBC serial, they have to pay extra for this. They have to pay the Terry Nation estates for the right to use the Daleks, which means that essentially they want to use the Daleks as seldom as possible, but because they're a fan favorite, they have to use them at some point, and every Doctor at some point needs to be pinned against them. But that also means that when you use the Daleks, if for no better reason than for financial reasons, the BBC really needs to make it count, you know? You shouldn't have these throwaway Dalek episodes. You should have a Dalek episode that means something, because it's just a healthier investment. And what a fantastically good investment this was. This was a great Dalek episode. They made it count. You know, it was worth having them in here.
I agree. I think that it is, you know, there have been some fairly poor Dalek episodes. Asylum of the Daleks has some inherent logical flaws which make it not as good as it should be.
Okay.
It has some brilliant things because it has Clara in probably her best episode until Deep Breath.
You mean when she's a Dalek?
A Dalek.
Yeah.
The Daleks do not need a parliament. That made
no sense.
No sense.
Agreed.
Whatsoever. You have, I'm trying to think of the other Dalek episodes. You have the Davros episode, which is really good. You have Stolen Earth and Journey's End, which were really good. Then you get Victory of the Daleks, which for the first half of it was pretty darn good. And then the Fatlex appeared.
Is that why are they called that? What's that about?
Because if you when you look at I'll send you a link on this one. Let me show you. Okay. It's a diagram of the normal Daleks compared to the standard Daleks, and it shows the sort of the proportion discrepancy.
Oh, really? Have they turned? Yeah. Have they got a little bit chubbier?
All right. If you just look at this.
Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, I'm looking at these pictures that you just sent me. Holy crap, you are so right. That is one fat Dalek, that orange one in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, I will place links to all of these images on the website so that you can, you know, check them out. And this conversation will have been anchored in a little bit of context as well. WhoBack1.com.
So one other thing about the fat Daleks is when you look at it, that is the only time this episode, Victory of the Daleks, where they're shown from that angle.
Okay.
For that very reason.
Yeah, I can imagine. It looks terrible.
Hideous.
Yeah.
But, you know, and you've got other Dalek episodes like the utterly abysmal Evolution of the Daleks and Daleks in Manhattan, which is just they are Web Planet bad, you know, episodes. Twin Dilemma bad episodes. And, you know, you're right. They should be special. And sadly, not all of them are. This one is.
Yeah. Well done. Well done, BBC.
So just to round up our first look at Capaldi, some quick fire questions for you. So a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a thumbs in the middle from you.
All right.
Okay. Peter Capaldi.
Thumbs up.
Clara.
Thumbs up.
Danny Pink.
Yeah, I'm gonna say thumbs up because so far I've only seen positives.
Deep Breath.
Dude, thumbs up, man. Obviously.
Into the Dalek.
The biggest thumbs up ever. Holy crap. Holy moly. Sweet buttery Moses. What a fantastic episode.
And then the next time for Robots of Sherwood.
Robots of Sherwood. I know. I am so looking forward to that. Massive thumbs up. I wanted to ask you, thank you so much for saying that again because it had already slipped my mind. We have met Robin Hood on Doctor Who before, have we not?
Have we?
Have we not? Does he not turn up in Classic Who? I have a feeling he turns up in Classic Who and potentially in an audiobook, but this is really your realm of expertise. Are you serious? Is there not a Classic Who episode with Doctor Who? Sorry, with with Robin Hood?
No.
How can they have got through 50 years without ever including Robin Hood in a single episode?
I can only think of a book.
Okay.
Called The Thief of Sherwood, I think it is.
Okay.
Which was a first Doctor book.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, if that's the case, then that is amazing. I was absolutely convinced that that Robin Hood turns up in Doctor Who at some point. If nothing else. Okay, fine. All right. Well, in that case, I'm still curious to see if Robin Hood will reflect what we heard from Paul McGann, was it, in, I believe, The Zygon Who Fell to Earth?
What did he say in The Zygon That Fell to Earth?
I think it's The Zygon Who Fell to Earth, when, remember in the beginning of Zygon, they're sitting in the B&B, and they meant to go somewhere else, and this is like between 5 and 7 minutes into the episode, into the actual audiobook. She asks him about all these other time periods, and one of them is, oh, don't tell me that you officiated at Robin Hood's wedding as well. And Paul McGann goes, oh, don't be silly. Robin would never have got married.
I think...
I'll cut that monologue down to size.
Yeah, I think next week might be an episode I don't like.
Really?
I don't know, yeah.
I think it's going to be really kitschy, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will reserve judgment. Until then, it's just thumbs in the middle for me, but a thumbs up from all the rest of them.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's pretty much it, would you say? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. What do you think of Capaldi? Where are your thumbs right now? Do you dare tell us? If so, pop onto the website and leave a comment. Let us know exactly what you think, and tweet us, and holy sweet moccasins of Beelzebub, spread the gospel. If you've liked this episode, why not head on over to Facebook, facebook.com/whobackwhen, all in one word, and you can leave a comment about this episode there as well, and tell us what you think. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Subscribe and rate and review us on iTunes. Wait, hang on. Before we finish this outro spiel, I have to say something. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I believe it is now twice that I've said that there will be singing for all the people who have rated and reviewed us on iTunes. There will be singing. I freaking promise you this. This is a Who Back When Ponkin guarantee. At the very least, I will be singing. I don't know if JD will join me. I hope he will. But... This bonus episode is overrun a little bit, and I think maybe we'll reserve that for our next recording. But thank you very much, all of you, all over the world who have left reviews. If you haven't left a review of Who Back When on iTunes, wherever you may be, whichever iTunes store you may, then please do so. Check us out, review, rate, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. How can you follow JD? He is at Marius Kane. That's Kane with a K. And you can follow me as well. I am at Ponkin.
That's Ponkin with a K.
I was going to say, here's a soundbite of JD singing how you spell it.
Ponken, Ponkin.
Nice. You've been lovely. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Who Back When?